Again, we'll ask everybody to mute themselves so that, and then if you have a question, you can put it in the chat room, and we'll get to those questions. Certainly, my name is Sally Lipsky, and I am president of Plant-Based Pittsburgh, and it's a thrill to see so many of you here, so to speak, virtually. And I just want to say that Brittany, we're delighted, our vice president is Brittany. And Brittany Jaroudi, of course, has her own YouTube with thousands of followers. She's an influencer, and we're so proud of her. And then she is a plant-based enthusiast, a recipe developer, YouTube channel, proud nutrition nerd, scamper, art teacher, among other things, and just an all-around delightful person. So, Brittany, we'll hand it over to you.
Well, thank you guys for attending. And we're going to make kind of a composite recipe, really simple, and I will email out the recipe within 48 hours to everyone that's signed up. So you can just kind of watch and get a feel for tonight. You don't have to take notes. I'll send it out to you guys. But it's a really simple recipe. So originally, when we were picking out ideas, I was, if you've watched my channel, I've been on a breakfast kick. And we made breakfast sausages with beans and oats. So if you have checked out my YouTube channel, you might have seen that one. And my husband came up with it's actually my husband's idea, to kind of make it a different way. And it turned out it's been our favorite way ever since. So while I have the patties that you can make, little sausage patties that are made again from oats and black beans, we kind of changed it up, and that's what I'm going to do with you guys today. So I went ahead and already let it chill. We're going to do one version, and then with the magic of me being prepared, we can go on to bake it. But it's just the sausage patty recipe. And so in here I have rolled oats. So it's really, really simple. It's 1 cup of rolled oats, and you're just going to add it to a food processor. Right, around a cup. Really, really simple. It's 1 cup of beans. You can do any bean. We generally do a black bean for this dish, but I've done it with chickpeas and kidney beans and pinto. And really, it's actually a great burger recipe as well. But we've been doing kind of this breakfast-inspired sausage idea for it. So 1 15-ounce can of beans that I've already rinsed and drained. So I just have black beans. We're going to make a flax egg. So if you've never made a flax egg before, it's a nice binder for recipes, and we use it all the time. This recipe calls for 2 flax eggs. So it's 6 tablespoons of water with 2 tablespoons of ground flax meal. And you can buy it already pre-ground up or grind it yourself. And then we're going to let it sit for just a couple minutes, and it's going to gel up and kind of be our egg replacement. So anytime there's calls for an egg in a recipe, or I need something to really hold together, I use flax meal. And this recipe is great because it actually doesn't crumble. So a lot of the times when you make a plant-based burger, it kind of falls apart, and that's the biggest complaint I hear. And by making it this way, it doesn't fall apart. It all sticks together. So all I did was mix that together with the water, and we're just gonna let it do its thing for a couple minutes. I also use 1 tablespoon of white miso. You can, of course, use, if you're comfortable using salt, this is pretty much the salt replacement. You can leave it out. Just totally depends. I generally use white miso in my recipes as a salt replacement. So it's 1 tablespoon of white miso. But if you don't have it, like it wouldn't make or break the recipe. You could just even leave it out. All right, and the next thing up is the seasoning. So you can add if you look at any sausage recipe, you can do any of those seasonings. And again, you can make this spicy, you can make this flavored any way that you like. On our website, we have a kind of a DIY, different seasonings you can put in here to be a sausage replacement. But I looked on Amazon and I actually found a sausage seasoning that is salt-free, and it just has crushed red bell pepper, garlic, fennel, paprika, onion, and parsley. So you could just add that in, like 2 tablespoons of that into your mixture. You can also add in some Italian seasoning or pizza seasoning. So we kind of change it up with whatever we're in the mood for. And again, I usually add around 2 tablespoons. So if you look in your pantry, you might already have the seasoning that you want to add. And again, it's just kind of similar. The idea behind this is that we're going to get kind of a similar texture to sausage, and the flavor comes from the seasoning. So while we don't get any of the bad stuff, we always get, you know, the beans and the oats and all the good stuff. Really just whatever you flavor it is what it's going to take on. Okay. Already that flax egg has already started to set up, and I've just done that a minute ago. You can see it gets nice and thick. And so I'll let that sit for a minute longer. Another thing I wanted to share with you guys is air frying potatoes. So I think a lot of the times, I taught a class last night and we talked about making plant-based simple. And I think a lot of the times people make being plant-based or cooking plant-based way more difficult than it has to be. It can be very simple. And for example, I just took some russet potatoes that I sliced up, kind of like steak fries. You can cube them. You can do however you want to cut them up, like home fries you could even do. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to add 3 seasonings. Again, you can add whatever seasonings you like. Generally, when I cook fries, it's just onion powder, smoked paprika, and garlic. And you just kind of toss it together and it makes a beautiful seasoning for your fries. And we're just going to bake them. And it's so easy. You don't need anything to make, nothing needs to be added like a water or anything, because your potatoes are already a little bit wetter from cutting them. So it's super, it will already stick to the seasoning. You don't need to spray oil or anything. And then all I do is give it a nice toss, let everything kind of coat, and then I'm going to air fry them. And you can also bake these. It doesn't have, if you don't have an air fryer, it will work fine. You guys can see, and the seasoning already sticks to it. If you want to make these spicy, you can as well. All right, so I'm going to air fry those. And I have the Breville Smart Oven Air, which I think is, well, it was an investment, but I have not regretted it because I use it every single day. But one of the reasons I love it is because it comes with a giant air frying basket. So I don't have to do multiple sets. It's literally, you know, only one time of doing it, and it holds everything. So it's super easy and convenient. Some of the ones you pull out, you have to, you know, do a couple sets. But you could bake these and do all that if you wanted. And you don't need parchment paper for this, which is awesome as well. All right, I'm gonna put these in while we are gonna make our sausage. And I'm gonna air fry them at 400 degrees for around, we'll put them in for around 18 to 20 minutes and check on them. All right. Now when we're doing this, we can preheat our oven. I'm gonna cook this at a lower heat because we're gonna add some tofu to this. And I follow the plant-based I follow all the plant-based doctors, but the one that I kind of draw to go near is Dr. Greger. And he talks about when you cook high protein, high fat foods, that you should do it at lower temperatures because there's something called glycotoxins that you don't want. You know, you don't want to take a food that's healthy and make it unhealthy. So you will never catch me grilling or roasting or air frying tofu. It'll always be cooked at a lower temperature. And same when I eat nuts or put nuts in a recipe, it's always raw, just for that reason. Because I don't want to take a food that is going to be good for me and make it any less than what it is. So I'm going to preheat my oven to 300 degrees. And if you make the sausage patties on their own without the tofu I'm going to show you, you can do it at 350 for 20 minutes and just form little burgers or little patties. So I already did one earlier and put in the fridge. So I'm just going to show you guys real quick how to blend it. But the flax egg is set up. You can see it's very thick. And that's it. It's literally, I make this probably at least once a week. If it's not burgers or if it's not like we're doing tonight, it's so simple that it takes no time. And I'm just going to pulse it together. And that's it. So you can pulse it till you can't see anything, but usually I'll do it so that you can still kind of see a couple oats and black beans, but most of it is kind of together. Now, this will work a lot better if you refrigerate it for around 20 minutes. So with this mixture, I will put it in our refrigerator and we'll have this probably tomorrow. But tonight, I already went ahead and did that. So we are already all set up. I'm gonna move this out of the way. And we're gonna pretend like I put that in the fridge for half an hour. So now it's firm. You can kind of like press down and see your fingerprint. What we're gonna do now is the idea my husband had is that I was making the sausage and I was making a tofu scramble. And he said, why don't you just like combine it, put it on a baking sheet and then have it all kind of cooked together really well. And it is seriously the best way to eat this sausage recipe. I need to make a video on it soon because it's that good. We've done it. I haven't just made them sausage patties since I've done it this way. Someone in the chat asked me if I would air fry tofu. I don't air fry tofu because, again, you're cooking tofu at a really high temperature. And you can look up on nutritionfacts.org all of the research on cooking, like eating your nuts raw, not roasted, and it's the same kind of idea for tofu or tempeh. So I stay away from air frying tofu. I just kind of like let it slowly bake or heat it up on a saute pan, like we do soy curls or something like that. Since learning that information, I haven't air fried. Now, when it comes to tofu, people either are really nervous about using it, or they're turned off and think that it tastes awful, or they don't know what to do. It's a lot of different things. And I always tell people that you should get the super firm tofu. And that's because it has a really nice texture. It's not super soft. It will take on, all tofu will take on whatever flavor you give it. So if you want to do a barbecue or a Thai dish or whatever marinade you want to use, it will taste like that marinade. And so I always get super firm organic tofu that I find in my regular store. You don't even have to go, like, just that even our regular grocery store has it, not even, I don't have to go to Whole Foods or anything for it. And what I do is I don't even press it. I don't own a tofu press, which might surprise some of you guys, because I always buy super firm tofu when I'm going to make it in a recipe, and it just skips that step. So all I'm going to do is cut the packaging and drain the little bit of water that is inside. So I'm going to show you guys. So I'm going to, just a little bit of water, it's not much. I used to like pat dry the tofu and it ended up taking a really long time to get ready. But this way it's been totally fine. My air fryer just kicked on. All right. And same when I do tofu scramble, it's the exact same way. I just get the extra firm tofu and drain the water. I don't press it. All right, so it comes out in one big block. All right, and all you're gonna do is, it's the same idea as tofu scrambles, that we're gonna squish it, scramble it with our hands, and then kind of incorporate it into that sausage oats mixture. And so this is a very filling meal because you have a whole can of black beans and you have a whole block of tofu. This is one meal that I know we have leftovers for, because my husband, I kind of joke around that he is like a garbage can because we never have leftovers and it's only the two of us and I cook day and night pretty much. And somehow we never have any of the food I make left over. But this meal, we have leftovers because it is super filling. Like I said, you're getting lots of protein from the tofu and the black beans, and there's some oats in here as well. And so when we eat this meal, if we eat it, usually we eat it for, it's been a dinner favorite lately, which is kind of why I did breakfast for dinner. You know, I serve this with a green. So we usually will steam up whatever mixed greens I have in the fridge. I will serve this with some kind of starch generally. So there are oats in here, but like we'll make sweet potato fries or potato fries. And then I'll make some kind of vegetable too. And then there's a little bit of all of it, and it's a lot. You can even put this in a burrito after it cooks and make like a breakfast burrito, which would be great as well. So I'm just kind of, you'll see that the bean sausage patty is kind of more, holds together more than the tofu, and you just kind of want to separate it so that it can kind of all get incorporated, and you don't need to add any more seasonings because you've already added the sausage seasoning to that sausage patty. Also, when you go to bake it and pull it out, you'll see that it all kind of gets stuck together, which is really, really nice. And I'm going to show you, hopefully, if we have enough time tonight for me to finish. But I will make a video on this in the future. And so I just kind of put it on a baking sheet lined with parchment paper, and then I just kind of spread it out. And we're going to bake it at 300 degrees for around 30 to 40 minutes, because again, we're cooking it at a lower heat, so it just needs a little bit of time. Everything is pretty much cooked but the tofu. The black beans came from a can, so those are already cooked. And so we really just want everything to kind of heat through and that tofu to cook just a little bit. So it doesn't need to cook forever, but again, because we're doing it only at 300, it takes a little bit more time because I don't want to roast the tofu. All right, and then you just kind of want to make sure it's kind of even, so it cooks evenly. It doesn't have to be perfect. All right, usually I don't even put it in a bowl. Usually I just do this on the pan. And now it can go in the oven. So that's just a really simple dinner that you can have really quickly. And again, it's a pretty big one for your whole entire family. So I'm gonna pop this into my regular oven. And it might get a little warm in my kitchen. Usually I only use the Breville if I can help it, because this oven tends to make my whole house really hot. All right. And then you'll see when it's done, everything kind of browns just slightly, and then it's perfect, ready to go. And it only takes a couple minutes to whip up. And most times when I do the sausage patty, I'll just do it midday and then just put it in the fridge, or do it the day before, and then I have it. Do you guys have any questions for me so far?
I just have to say, if you see Brittany, James, we call breakfast for dinner Brenner. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, we generally my breakfast is always kind of I stick to oatmeal most, like 9 out of 10 days. So this is a nice switch up too. Usually we'll have this like on the weekend. You could add turmeric. Yep.
Can you tell me?
If you only add like 1/4 of a teaspoon of, you could definitely add turmeric if you want more of that yellow color, kind of to look like eggs. But I find that I eat turmeric in a couple other dishes throughout my day, so sometimes I forget to add to this one. Tammy, it's the Breville Smart Oven Air. It's around $300, I think it's around $400 on Amazon and on Bed Bath & Beyond. Sometimes you can get it a little bit cheaper, but it's worth it because it does everything. It dehydrates, it toasts, it air fries, does it all.
Can I ask you, Brittany,
Yes.
if you are baking it at 300 degrees centigrade in the oven, the air fryer has a 300 degree setting. Mine goes to 250. Can I?
Yeah, you could. Yeah.
Yeah, make it into
Definitely.
a patty and put it. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Definitely. I only have the Breville right now cooking the potatoes. I only have one air fryer, so that's why they're in the oven. But you could definitely just do it
What
that
is
way
the
too.
dangerous temperature that we should avoid with tofu?
I think you want to stay around 300. I don't think you want to go
300?
over that. Yeah.
300?
He says around 250, 300.
250 to 300. Okay, thank you.
So like when a lot of people, and it's hard because I see a lot of people grill and air fry tofu because it does get nice and crispy, but, and when you guys make, you make like a tofu, like shish kebab kind of, and do it on the grill. It's just hard because it's a high protein, high fat food. So you kind of want to be a little bit more careful with that. And you can look up Dr. Greger, and he talks about AGEs and glycotoxins in his research and kind of why you want to not do that to tofu. I don't stir. I just let it do its thing, Jill, and it comes out perfect. So Dan Edwards asked if you can, on my YouTube channel, I have sausage patties on the recipe where I actually make them into little patties, and you can bake them. And if you're not using tofu for that recipe, you can do it at 350 for 20 minutes. And all I do is I generally will use like a little dish of water and kind of wet my hands before I form them because it's a stickier batter. And you can also make them into like burger size patties as well. And we change up the seasonings and then it's our burger. So you can do lots of different things with it. It's kind of the recipe that keeps on giving, which is all I'm all about. I'm all about if you can take a recipe and change it 300 different ways. Yeah, I don't stir it. It just kind of does its thing. So it's even easier than Tofu Scramble. My air fryer is the Breville Smart Oven Air. So you can kind of see a little bit of it, but it takes up a good amount of space. It does a lot.
Brittany, Prince just want to know if you can add any veggies to the mix.
You can definitely, I would saute maybe some onions and you can mix that in. You can do some minced garlic. You can do, usually what I'll do is I'll steam some vegetables or have it separate cooked and then just put it on my plate together. But some sauteed onion would be very nice in it. Cliff asked, do I put any sauce on it when it's done? It's actually so full of flavor that I don't think you need anything because again, you're putting like a lot of seasoning into it, but my husband does sometimes grab some ketchup, so kind of your own preference.
I was just wondering, I forgot what you were going to ask, but I just read, I love burger. Have you eaten at burger? Oh, no, not burger. No, the other one, the one at the north, whatever. It's a burger.
Burgatory.
A burgatory.
Yeah.
And I was searching for, I love their burger, their veggie burger with corn, black beans and corn. And then I researched for a similar recipe. And I found there was one guy who said that if you roast the beans, you will get less mushy burger. What is the consistency of this when you use it for a burger?
So for this I feel like this, if you refrigerate it beforehand, it really does hold up well, but it still has that nice like moist. It's not like super dried out, which sometimes if you make like a black bean burger, they can get kind of crumbly and dried out. So I find that the flax meal that we made, that flax egg, really helps a ton with keeping moisture in. So yeah, it's the easiest and quickest black bean burger, or you can use any bean in it recipe I found. And then really it's only like 5 ingredients, so you can't beat that. And the 5th ingredient is the seasoning. So. Can you change the aquafaba on my chickpea nugget recipe? I don't know. I never tried it. the aquafaba in that recipe kind of acts like an egg replacer. So I would say more that you could probably change it for a flax egg instead of, I don't know if it would work with salsa. You can dip them in salsa. Hold on, sorry guys, the chat's going kind of quick.
Which one is it? She referring to, what is that?
I made a chickpea nugget recipe on my channel. That's a really
okay.
good substitute. Tortillas used for breakfast burritos. And most times we'll buy, Ezekiel has a whole wheat pita, and that's kind of our tortilla. I open them and kind of wrap them like a breakfast burrito. I haven't found, or also Linda is in here, so she gets the Ezekiel tortillas whole wheat wrap, and I'm sure she can say a little bit more about that, but those are also very good.
I just use the Ezekiel tortilla wraps to make into crackers, or I call them my pita chips. And I just cut the large circle into triangles and then bake them in the oven, maybe 400 degrees, 5 minutes on each side, and they get very, very crispy. That's what I do with the Ezekiel tortillas.
So you don't eat them as a wrap?
No, I've never eaten them as a wrap. I just use them for the chips.
I find if you're going to eat them for a wrap, heat it beforehand because it breaks really easy when you go to roll it. But if you heat it on heat it on a skillet, it kind of lets you use it a little bit more. So
I use it too for a wrap. When I heat it, I put it in the air fryer.
Oh, yeah.
And it gets real crispy. It's just all you need is a couple minutes. It's delicious.
Someone asked, if you can't eat flax, what do you substitute? You could probably do some aquafaba, which is the liquid from chickpeas that you can use. I would probably use like 2 tablespoons of that. You can also maybe use some vegetable broth, would probably work. So those are a couple things, but we've always used flax. You could also use a chia seed, would work the same. So if you can't have flax, try to make a flax egg with chia. That would work. So Laura asked about white miso has salt. All miso has salt. The idea behind it is that it's made from a soybean, so it's so healthy that it doesn't have any negative effects on your heart or your arteries like traditional table salt does. Dr. Greger, again from nutritionfacts.org, has lots of research on miso and how health promoting soy is, that it actually makes it a green light food. And so that's why I use that. But like if you look at the back, it'll still say that it has sodium. Aquafaba, Mary asked, you can use it in so many different ways. We use it for egg replacement. I bake with it. You can make kind of like peaks with it, kind of like a whipped cream substitute, or I know people have done kind of like meringue pies with it, because if you beat it hard enough, it'll kind of peak like that. You can use it. We also use it as kind of in our chickpea nugget recipes, we use it as like the step between when you bread your nuggets. So it's kind of like the milk stage where you put it into a wet something and then put it into a dry. But just Google it. It's fascinating. Everything you can do with aquafaba.
Can you freeze aquafaba?
Yeah, Linda also knows about that.
Yeah, I was going to say Linda.
Yeah.
Yes, I freeze. I have a lot of aquafaba because I make a lot of chickpea hummus every week. So my aquafaba I put into ice cube trays, and after it's frozen, then I pop them out of the ice cube trays and put them in a baggie, and then they don't take up so much room in the freezer. And then I thaw them and I use them. They freeze well and I use them.
Does
And
it,
you told me to
excuse me.
use it in salad dressing.
Yes, there's a very good Greek salad dressing that uses aquafaba.
But can it be used for when you need to whip it? Does it whip well, the frozen ones?
I've never whipped it after it's been frozen. I have whipped it before it was frozen, and it doesn't maintain its stiffness very long.
And how about after it is frozen? Have you ever tried that?
I've never done it.
Okay.
But the aquafaba right from the can, whipping it, only stays stiff for a few hours, and then it just starts to deteriorate.
Yeah, you got to use it kind of right
You
away.
have to use it pretty soon after you whip it.
Sophie asked about the temperature change if you just make them into little sausage shapes rather than patties. It's if you don't use tofu, it's 350 for 20 minutes, and you'll be able to tell that they're done. Cliff said, yeah, you could put my cheese sauce on. You could pretty much put our nacho cheese sauce or butternut cheese sauce on anything. Let's see. Corey asked about corn tortillas that are clean to make chips in the air fryer. Anytime you can find a white, or anytime you can find a corn tortilla, I mean, it makes a great chip. And like Linda already said, you can just cut them. So trying to think, any other stores. We also make pita chips from the Ezekiel Pita at the co-op. I don't know if you're near that store. And that also has been a pretty okay place to shop, I find. The co-op in Pittsburgh. Let's see. Tri-colored quinoa for the crackers. They work perfect. Raw on the inside. Yeah, I mean, I find that every oven is a little bit different if you make the crackers that we have in our channel. And it kind of just depends, but I would say let them cook for a little bit longer if they still are raw on the inside. Jane said she's made meringue cookies with aquafaba. Great. I think I'm caught up to the end of the chat. It's good. Yeah, Trader Joe's in East Liberty hasn't been too bad. I've been there. They're pretty good with limiting the amount of people that are in that store. You just have to wait in line. But I've got into the co-op in Pittsburgh right away the last 2 times, so I haven't had to wait. I don't know if I'm going to have a good time. All right, so my potatoes came out of the air fryer. And like so easy, right? They're nice and brown and crispy. You guys, they're hot right now, but, and again, you can make them, you can cut them 100 different ways. I actually have a really cool gadget I can show you guys. I can find where I stuck it. There it is. On Amazon, I found a potato cutter that has been, I wish it had, the only thing about this one I don't like is that it doesn't have a stick to the table, so it like moves, so I have to be kind of careful and put my hand so it doesn't move, but it cuts the perfect fries. So if you like gadgets, that's a pretty cool one. And it does with sweet potatoes too. So we made sweet potato fries this week too. And there's 2 different blades. There's a small and a large blade. So you can do more like kind of like shoestring fries if you want. But that's been a good Amazon find. Let me see. Sticking to the parchment paper, make sure that your parchment paper is not like a wax parchment paper. I've never had them stick though. Brad's liquid aminos versus white miso. White miso, again, has that soy in it. So while we have some tamari and some Brad liquid aminos, I generally stay away from that. If you've ever watched Jeff Novik's, he has a video that goes through the grocery store and kind of talks about, I think he talks about soy sauces and different things. And he talks about how Brad's liquid aminos, everyone thinks is like salt-free or lower salt. And it's actually, the serving size is kind of deceiving. So I use that sparingly, but it's up your preference. The copy of these recipes I will email out. So as well, you signed up with your email. I'm gonna send it out within, give me until 48 hours. I'll get it out to you guys. If you want to go ahead and look at our channel, we already have it. The sausage recipe is already up if you just Google the Jaroudi Family breakfast sausage. Yeah, potato cutters are awesome. Yeah, so I'm gonna check on the kind of, I don't know what to call this, I guess breakfast casserole mixture. Almost there, it's getting there. So I just kind of keep an eyeball. Usually I make this in the Breville, so I'm doing this in my regular oven. But you can kind of see that the tofu starts to get a little bit brown on top, which is a good sign.
Brittany, can I ask a question about your whole wheat bread that you made?
Sure, yeah.
So I don't have a Dutch oven to bake it in that you know covers it. So is there something else that I could use?
You can use pretty much any pot that you can use in the oven with a lid. So if you have a stainless steel pot that has a lid that's safe to go into the oven, that works great. Just line it with parchment paper before you put the dough in.
Okay.
But because you want it to kind of steam inside the pot, so.
Okay, so putting it in a loaf pan and then covering it with aluminum foil, that's not the same.
Yeah, I'm not 100% confident in that, but you could try it. And if you Google like homemade bread without having a Dutch oven, there's a couple different ideas that they give you. Like I've seen people make it like in an Instant Pot or a pressure cooker and different things like that. So I would do some more research. We luckily have the pan for it, so I haven't quite tried all the variations.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. The bean mixture can be made into meatballs. We also have a meatball, different meatball recipes, similar-ish on our channel, but you can put whatever, it just holds it together really well. And then you can put whatever seasonings, like you can do just Italian seasonings or whatever you'd like.
Brittany, I wanted to ask you a question. How have you experimented a little bit with adding other sweet potatoes? Because I did Japanese in addition to the regular with the chocolate pudding, and I just actually made it. This is it right here, and it made a lot. And it's hard to just I just have it in the little pudding cup size so I don't eat so much, but it's extended it because there's 2 sweet potatoes and a Japanese sweet potato, and then the same number of dates and chocolate and stuff. So it made it more pudding, but less, chocolate, sugar, or whatever.
I was going to say, if you're using Japanese sweet potatoes, you might even need less dates because they're a little bit sweeter.
Yeah, they're really good. They're super.
And it freezes too. So if you're somebody who has a hard time, like you're going to sit down and eat the whole pie or eat the whole thing, it freezes good. And then it also, you guys haven't seen on our channel, I have so many of these now, but you can put them in an ice cream pop and make popsicles with it.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's a great idea.
So we now have a ton of them, which is great because it's getting warmer here in Pittsburgh. But you can also make any kind of crust with it and make it into like a pudding pie, and then that freezes really well where you can take like a slice at a time when you want it. That's generally how again, that's the recipe that keeps on giving. I've turned that recipe into 3 different recipes. So it's a good sign of a good recipe. But the Japanese sweet potatoes, I mean, it really works with any that you have, and then you can just scale back how sweet. And again, depending on your taste, like since I've been plant-based and I'm really refined sugar-free for a while, my taste buds are probably different than somebody who just started it.
Yeah, me too.
So you gotta kind of taste as you go.
This size, whatever that size is, I think it's like a 1 cup. That's perfect. And one time I had someone, we were on a Zoom call and they were like, if you like it so much, you should have a second one. And I could only eat half of a second one,
Yeah.
It's really filling and very satisfying. It's my favorite of your recipes for sure.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's a good one. It's one that I'm pretty sure my husband's going to recommend for his birthday request.
Yeah, for sure.
I forgot what the ingredients were for that potato. What is it? Potato pudding or potato?
It's just sweet potato, dates, soy milk is what I use, unsweetened soy milk, and I use cacao powder.
Yeah.
So. And
then you can make it into like a pie or just a pudding, or you can put it in popsicle molds. So.
It's seriously silky, like what I would remember pudding to be like. I haven't had it in years, but It's silky.
Yeah, when we first,
just the
when I
right
first made
sweetness.
it out of the blender, I was like, this tastes like the pudding packs that you got as like a kid.
Yes.
Because it's so weird. But then some people say it just, all they can taste is sweet potatoes, which I can't taste at all.
Oh,
And
weird.
my husband isn't a fan of sweet potatoes, and he can eat like a whole pie by himself. So I don't know. Everyone's taste bud's a little bit different. Martha, yeah. My freezer is stocked, so I'm gonna need to share with people soon. It's usually what happens is I recipe test a whole bunch, so we always have so much food, and then I'll give it out to like family members because, and even like Sally and Linda and them know, like we always bring food. So usually I had to submit recipes for a magazine I'm gonna be in the summer, and so I made 6 recipes in like 2 days, and so like I'm on the end of these blueberry lemon bars, but like, you know, like it's only 2 of us, so, and I'm also trying not to gain any weight during this time, so it's a struggle for sure with having so much good food always available.
Brittany, do you want to tell everyone what magazine it is that you're being featured in?
So I'm going to be in the National Health Association magazine, which is known as the NHA, which is a whole food plant-based magazine. They're also called, their magazine comes out, it's called Health Science. And so in the email that I send you guys, there Sally has one, for the summer edition, I have 6 recipes that are in there. And so there's all sorts of things. I did the breakfast bars, there's some salads, there's some taco ideas, lots of different things, very summery. So, and they're all whole food plant-based SOS-free recipes that are in there, and articles from the plant-based doctors. Really, that and Forks Over Knives are the 2 magazines that you really have to pick from. Yeah, and I always joke around, like when I'm gonna write this cookbook that everyone keeps talking about, I'm gonna pull people from Pittsburgh, and you guys can all recipe test for me. We'll have a party, like I'll just bring all the recipes and everyone can tell me what it needs, or, you know. All right, so I'm gonna pull the sausage. It looks done. It's brown on top, which is good. Hopefully it's hot and I don't want to spill it, but you guys can see. Kind of looks like feta, but it's tofu. And so everything kind of like sticks together. So I will get a serving platter and just kind of show you. And like I said, you can add ketchup, you can add, if you wanted to do a cheese sauce or a salsa or barbecue sauce, or eat it, I eat it by itself. It's already so full of flavor, you really don't need, which is rare because I'm usually a ketchup fan too. But let me grab a plate for you guys. This is just such a quick and easy, super filling. So this is something I'm definitely gonna make when we camp too, because it travels really well. But you'll see it like holds its shape. Kind of crumbles a little bit, but there are big pieces. It's very hot, but there are some pieces that hold its shape. And then it's just packed full of flavor. And really, again, I try to keep my recipes to be pretty short and sweet and not take a lot of time. So it's just oats, beans, flax eggs, miso, and a seasoning. And then you can add tofu or not.
Brittany, do you want to, oh, I'm sorry. Somebody
Kathy,
asked for you to show the season.
Yeah, I will email out all the recipes. Give me 48 hours and it'll be in your, also we have, we started a YouTube channel for Plant-Based Pittsburgh. So if you missed the recording, this is gonna be on there as well. So I'll send the recipes, the playback, and I'll send info about the Breville Smart Oven Air if you're interested too. But there's.
And somebody asked about the Amazon seasoning.
Yeah, so I think it's sold out though right now. I did check, and we actually have an Amazon shop with like all of our recommended products that I put this on. So I'll send a link to that too as well. It's just www.amazon.com/shop/the Jaroudi Family. And I put the Breville, anytime that gadget, that potato cutter, the seasoning, the miso we use, I put it all on there so people can just Amazon shop as they'd like. But I think it's sold out. But just try to find a sausage seasoning that doesn't have, you know, a ton of salt in it, or salt-free if you can. But this one, I'll just show you guys up close. You might be able to find one in your store too. But it's just crushed red bell pepper, garlic, fennel seed, paprika, onion, and parsley. So probably stuff you might already have in your kitchen.
Fennel is what makes it taste like sausage for sure.
Yeah, and on our website and on our YouTube channel, I have like a DIY sausage thing that has like nutmeg, sage, smoked paprika, garlic, Italian seasoning, dried fennel. So I also have that on our website. If you just Google sausage Jaroudi, it'll pop up, which you can make your own.
No liquid smoke?
I don't really cook that much with liquid smoke, but you could add it if you wanted. That's optional too. I just try to, most times when I do my recipes, especially during this time, I just try to make it like, the miso is probably the only thing that's like exotic that we use, or something that you would have to like go search for that you probably don't have if you're just like looking up our website and you've never ate plant-based before. But everything else I try to make like really simple to have. Corey, our chocolate chips, it's by Santa Barbara. I can grab them and show you. I don't have a link to the website. I can put it in the email too if you guys are interested, but you have to order this online. It's not on Amazon. It's unsweetened chocolate chips that have nothing in them, just our chocolate, and it comes in a 3-pound bag. That for me lasts me like forever. But you can buy that too. But it's $39 for a 3-pound bag. So
What do you think the difference in those are for compared to cacao nibs? Like, are those cacao nibs, or are those actually made into chips?
I would say that they're pretty similar to let me double check. I have some right here. So the ones I have are roasted, but I don't know. It doesn't have the nutrition facts on it, but it's pretty much very similar. Again, there's no sugar in both. The fat's going to be a little bit higher because it's chocolate. So you can use either or. Those melt really good though. If you're going to make like, a lot of people have made our Reese eggs recipe, or if you make anything like that you want to like dip chocolate into, like melted chocolate, that melts, and also it sets really well. So if you drizzle it on something, like we have a really great cookie dough ball recipe that we drizzle chocolate on, and it just like as soon as you do it, it hardens at room temperature. So then you can touch it right away.
Yeah, I've never tried to melt cacao nibs, so I don't know if they melt.
Yeah, I don't know either. I would think they would, but the other one does really well.
Yeah, thank you.
Is that the chocolate that you use for that those cookies I ordered from you?
Yeah. Yep. That's the chocolate we use. It's just 100%. And you can. I've seen a couple other places just sell like 100% dark chocolate with no sugar and nothing else in them. I think the Pittsburgh Co-op has one as well. But sometimes it's hard to find a dark chocolate that doesn't have added sugar.
Brittany, have you talked about the Lily's chocolate chips with the stevia? What is your opinion on that, like stevia?
I personally don't really like the taste of stevia. I find that it has an aftertaste, and so I used stevia like back before I was plant-based, and I just was I would make iced tea and use stevia, trying to be healthier. But since I follow more like what Dr. Greger talks about, he talks about, so you'll see in all of our recipes, I'm date paste all the way in date syrup. But you can also find erythritol, which Greger, I think it's okay from Greger if you use it in like smaller amounts like you would stevia. And so I do have a bag of erythritol, and it, we make like a sun tea, and I add some of this to it, which is dissolves really well.
Is that the same as xylitol? Do you know?
I don't believe. Erythritol is kind of like it's a natural sweetener known as sugar alcohol. And you could look at Gregor's research on it, but I think if you use this in smaller amounts, like you would for like sweetening a beverage, you're not going to eat, like I've had this bag for forever, that it's okay. I think stevia, the problem is that you kind of, it affects your gut microbiome if you eat too much of it. But again, like for me, that's all very minor stuff. So when I talk to people about being plant-based, even with like the dark chocolate and sugar and stuff like that, like the meat and dairy and oils are really like, and processed foods are really the things that I like tell people. If you're having a little bit of stevia and that's what the only thing that you have that you're doing, you know, I think everyone would be, you know, it's whatever you want to do. We're all on this journey and it just depends where you're at. And so I don't think a little bit of stevia is gonna do much harm.
Well, and Dr. Greger also says that if you're gonna eat produce, it's better to eat it organic, obviously. But if you eat unorganic produce, it's still better than not eating produce. So it's just like a continuum of healthy choices. So he says, like, don't avoid produce because it's, you know, you think it's poisonous or something, you know, because the other stuff's way worse. So
definitely, yeah. I'm all about. And I taught a class last night I think the majority of people were not plant-based. And I even tell people, like, you know, what can you do to your dinner? You know, can you make one dinner a week? Can you make one day a week? Can you, you know, maybe every time you eat breakfast? And so it's all about, you know, some people are able to flip the switch and do it overnight. And then some people, it's a little bit more of a transition. I was very lucky that I was able to just one day not do it and one day do it and kind of fully commit. But my situation was, I had a lot of motivation behind doing mine. But you can make all this delicious food and still, you know, be compliant with everything. So yeah, does anyone have any other questions? I know we were talking about pickles in the chat box. Linda, should the spices we buy in bulk have refrigerated? I don't refrigerate spices. I refrigerate like the miso, but like all of our like stuff I get in bulk from the co-op, like onion powder and stuff, I don't. My refrigerator, I would need a much larger refrigerator. And my refrigerator is very small.
Brittany, you use a lot of, what's that, date sugar? I
use date paste that I make from home. Yeah, I actually have some. Can pull out.
You make stuff.
I do. I make it myself because even if you go to the store and you want to buy from the date lady, she's pretty much the person who makes date paste. It's very liquidy. You'll notice that it pours like syrup. And so if it pours like syrup, that probably means all the fiber is taken out of it. So hold on, I had it earlier today. Now I don't know where it is in my refrigerator. It's packed full of food.
How does it taste compared to, let's say, maple syrup? Do they have
it's less. I find that it's sweet, but this is very thick. Let me grab a spoon and I'll show you guys. So I just do 1-to-1. People always ask me, how do you make date paste? However many dates of cups you put in liquid. So if it's 1 cup of dates, 1 cup of water. And I keep it in the refrigerator. I used a tablespoon in my salad dressing earlier today. But it's very thick. Kind of looks like caramel. And when you buy it in the grocery store, it's like liquid. It's not thick because all the fiber probably has been taken out, even though the only ingredient is date syrup. So I want all the fiber. So and it's so easy to make. I just make a jar of it at home. But it tastes like dates. It's sweet. So I don't know. I use this more than I use maple syrup.
I actually, I put it in small containers and freeze it. And then because there are certain recipes that I use over and over again. And so I have it available. I use 50 grams of in each little container. And that works beautifully for me. But I do use the 1-to-1, and I always make a lot more. But I keep everything in the freezer because I never know when I'm going to need it. And it defrosts very, very quickly.
Which is really smart. I make pretty much 1-to-1, 1 cup to 1 cup, keep it in a mason jar, and it keeps for around 10 days. So like I made a lot of recipes for the magazine that calls for date paste, so that's why I have a whole bunch. But and I also use it in other things, like for example, like I told you guys, I have a packed fridge. We make our homemade jam, and it has a little bit of date paste in it. So I made a raspberry jam. And so with chia seeds and raspberries and date paste and a little bit of lemon juice. So I just always have it. So then it's not a hassle when, you know, you don't have to make it on the spot. You can freeze it or use fresh. Marcia, if you get it from the grocery store, date syrup is just going to be more liquidy. So I always tell people to make their own, but you know, if it's convenient, you know, you kind of have to decide what you want to do.
The reason why I ask you is in the Philippines, I'm from the Philippines. I'm making halo-halo. It means mix, and it's a combination of sweetened beans and sweetened chickpeas. So it's kind of healthy, except for the sugar. So I have to caramelize the sugar, or to sweeten the chickpeas and the black beans. I'm using black beans, but you can use white beans. Will this work, you think?
I think so. I mean, I use date paste for savory dishes, for salad dressing, for sweet stuff, like baking. I haven't found a recipe where I've tried it and I went like, oh, that wasn't good. So yeah. I would try making your own. I would think it would work.
One question I had about the date paste, when you said you put it in dressing, I like shake and take dressings to take salad whenever I leave the house, for no matter what the length of time is, because I don't want to ever be without my own food. But I not now, because now we're just all home. But does it shake up? Does it?
Yeah.
Become...
You have to shake it a little bit more than you're going to get a little bit of an arm workout. But I've just been doing 2 tablespoons of hummus, 1 teaspoon of white balsamic, 1 teaspoon of date paste, and then some Dijon mustard. It sounds like it wouldn't go together, but and mix it all up.
Sounds great.
Yeah, it's nice. The balsamic gives it a little bit of acidity, but then like the date paste really helps to cut that. And then I don't know, it works together. I've been doing that pretty much the entire week and I haven't got sick of it yet.
I like 3-2-1, that dressing of, you know, balsamic and then Dijon, and then the 1 is the maple syrup, but I'd like to move to date paste. And when you first make it in the blender, does it pour into the jar? So it's initially not as solid as it is in your fridge.
Correct.
So that might work.
I generally use a spoon to kind of help the end part of, like, because I use a Vitamix. So it's a little bit of a taller blender. So I have to get like some kind of spatula or spoon to kind of help get it all, but it pours, it's not as, it sets up a little bit more.
So that might work for the lady that asked about the bean dish. That might work for hers because it, when it's warmer, it's going to be a little more able to be kind of moved around and coat the beans.
And you can whisk it very easily, even at this point. Like I've just been using it for my salad dressing out of the refrigerator. So it's already, you know, it's solid, but still soft enough. And I just take a fork real quick and whisk everything together.
Yeah, you could thin it out, maybe with some water or something too, if you were desperate to have it. But it just sounds delicious.
Yeah, I couldn't believe I never ate dates prior to being plant-based. Like it's like one of my favorite foods. And my husband is Syrian, and so he grew up all the time with dates in his house, and he never ate them. And now he's just like fallen back in love with them. And so it's really funny. Like his dad always has several different kinds of dates around the holiday. So it's been fun to enjoy that as well. How long can the dressing sit out when you make it? The dressing for the salad dressing I just said maybe like an hour. I don't know. I generally like make it and put it on my salad right away. Or you can make it ahead of time and keep it in the refrigerator.
Sally said you can use raisins with water.
Yeah.
And also prunes, right?
Yeah, that might be a cheaper route for sure because dates can
Yeah, they're
get,
cheaper because
yeah,
that's why
dates
I
can
don't
get a
buy
little bit
dates because
pricey.
they're so expensive. Whereas prunes are cheaper and raisins are cheaper.
Yeah. Any kind of fruit that you can kind of make into a thick paste would definitely work. So yeah, dates are awesome. Definitely something that more people need to try. And then there's all different kinds too. So there's tons of kinds I haven't even tried yet. And I know that there is a couple people in our Facebook group talked about, I think there's a company called 7 Hot Dates, and they will mail you like a whole bunch of different kinds in bulk. You can buy them. So, but it's my,
I
my
want
go-to.
to, I'm looking at the time unless there's something else, Brittany. I don't want to.
Yeah. If anyone has any other questions, but I will email out the recipes, the recording. I'll email out my Amazon shop, which has all the gadgets. I can email out the chocolate chips. I'll send you guys the full email within 48 hours. So
Thank
you guys
you.
have it all.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
It's been awesome.
Thank you,
Thank
Brittany.
you.
Great job.
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. Now I have tons of food to enjoy, and I told my husband he has to wait to 8 o'clock to come in here and dig in.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.